morning, everybody. I've got a speaker system, but I'll switch it on in a sec. Just want to make sure that she settles a little before I do that. Thank you for coming along, everybody. The poll is a bit of a...
Yeah.
So I do try to get close, but I don't think you was here. Nick was here last time, and Carol maybe, and so I had to come closer to the crowd, so one so I can see you, and two so you can hear me. But she was letting loose, just kicking sand into the crowd, and her legs were up here somewhere. So yeah, big thank you to Leonie for letting us use her facility once again. Today we're working with Paloma. Paloma's 4, hey?
She's 4,
yeah. So she's unbacked at the moment, but she's been worked with and been doing some nice groundwork with her. She's a very intelligent girl. She's quite highly strung at times, so she can, when she gets upset, she'll let you know. So if something's worrying her, she's quick to let you know. But what I'm doing today is, because we've had one session with her in front of a crowd before, I'm just giving her time just to take some time, have a look around, check out the environment. If she wants to put her nose down and scent, so smelling the ground, just see what's going on, I'll allow her to do that. Often when we're working with our horses, we're so busy that we don't give them time to actually absorb the environment. So we're just going to talk about that a little bit. See how she comes over to me for a little bit of security there. So we've been working on softening her, just getting her to drop her head down. She's moving her feet here a little, so I'm just going to move with her and just let her have a look around, check everything out. And what she'll do is, when she gets really worried, she'll explode, and often she'll kick out as she goes. So you've got to be real careful with her. It's going to take some time just to relax and release. The first is, the most important thing I wanted to know is that I'm calm and safe to be around. Just bring her over there and have a look. No. So it's a big change from last time. Last time she was really afraid of the crowd. What I'll get you to do a little later is give her some applause to see how she copes with that noise and how she works through that. Come on. Okay, so let's get going. Okay, so how many of you are having problems with traditional type lunging with your horses? Is anyone having problems with that? You have problems with lunging? You do? Yeah?
No, I've got a 3-year-old that I can't get him to go out at all. Just follows
Can't get him to
me.
move around you. So at times she can also be a bit of what I call a space invader. She can come to your space, and especially when she gets a little stressed. But she's a sweet girl. It's really sweet, nice personality. So one of the first things we're going to go back to is whether she can just release off the halter. So nice, easy, soft pressure, and just getting her to release to the halter. It's one of the first things I teach my young horses, just how to release and relax. You'll see how the head goes up and down. So often our horses are in a state where they're okay with stuff, but they're not actually able to release and reset. So when I ask her to do anything, if I'm training something into her, I always come back to that position where she can relax, release. I'm really happy because she's putting her head down a lot more today. She's a lot more relaxed. She's licking and chewing. She's curious. So it's a big change from where we were at. You don't, no. Good girl. So I always take the time for the horse to spit natural curiosity. I want to encourage that curiosity. Allow it to check out the environment. Often when we go into arena or into a foreign place, we've got things to do, and so we're really busy and we push the horse into what we want to do. We don't give them enough time just to settle in and soak up the environment. She's showing some interest in me, so that's also good. She might be checking for treats, I don't know. Okay, so we're going to just do a little bit of sending her around. So rather than call it lunging, because I think lunging can be, if done incorrectly, can be detrimental to your training. Often when we're lunging, we're chasing the horse around and we're moving. So let's just send her back here, but keep her out of my space a little bit. We're chasing our horse around and we're moving our feet a lot. So often the horse is running around us and it's more in fear than in relaxation and thinking. Have you encountered that? You have? Yep. So what I call it is lunging for connection, so that I can send the horse around me. Initially, one of the basic things is just to be able to send the horse around you left and right, be able to turn and face you, go backwards and forwards. So a real simple thing. And then try to pick up my gait, my walk, my trot, my canter. So that's what we're going to do a little bit of with her in a minute. And we'll just see how she copes with that. The important thing is to stay calm, and so I call it lunging for connection. So, and learning a language with the horse that the horse can understand. When I ask her to pick up a gate, or I ask her to do a circle or a triangle or a square, it doesn't really matter what it is, but she'll understand that. How many of you use whips when you're lunging? Use a whip? No? Good. Small one. So some horses do need a bit more. Some horses do need a little bit more. A little bit more encouragement. So sometimes the training aid can be helpful, just to get attention. For example, I sometimes use a flag, just to get a little bit more attention from the horse. So she starts to look at me. I want her looking at me, engaging with me, understanding me, and what I'm asking her. So yeah, we're going to send her around a little bit to see how she does with that. It's really important to start with, to be able to get that horse to walk around you nice and calm, with a nice loose rein, encouraging the horse to drop its head down with a loose rein. I see a lot of people use, I guess you could call it gadgets, to get the horse to drop its head down and pull its head down into position. I like to just use a loose rein. If you want to come in and check up on me there, make sure everything's okay. All these people. Okay, so I'm going to ask you just to give a little clap, just a really soft clap to start with. So if you, on 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, that's great. Good girl. So every now and again I'm just going to ask you to clap, because I'm going to take the opportunity to, because she'll probably do dressage, I'm guessing. So for her to have this training opportunity for her is awesome. I'm lucky to be able to do that. Most people don't. You get to the arena and all of a sudden the horse loses the plot because you haven't had the chance to desensitize it to that environment. And it's, you know, like with things like tractors and motorbikes and bicycles, it's also really hard to desensitize your horse to those environments. So having a calm horse that you can move around you on the ground, so it's all about, if my horse is relaxed and can work with me on the ground and communicate with me on the ground, then I've got more chance when I sit on it. So there's a lot of emphasis put on, going to move those feet a little bit, on direction, attention. Now if you look at her real careful, you'll see that her head's out away from me. Every now and again her ear will cock in, she might look in here, but mostly her focus is not on me, it's external. So my job is to get her to, one, relax with focus, so she's focused more on me. So to get that focus I need to move those feet. So for example, getting the hind quarter to move around, and also start to ground tie my horse on the ground, so learns to tie up. So it's a starting process. Yeah, she's coming forward into my space. So those are things I'll work on in a minute, but I always pick my training opportunities as they come along, because sometimes I have intention to train something into the horse, but she presents something else to me, so we need to work on this or that. So once I've got my horse nice and calm, just ground tie, teaching how to ground tie, relax, release. We've been doing a lot of work with her releasing, so she's able to relax and release. So it's training relaxation into the horse, So it can reset, because often you'll have things happening around you. You might be trying to lunge, for example, but there's things going on around you and the horse is not focusing. So to get back that relaxation, being able to find that place where the horse can relax and release. If she gets bored, she gets a bit nippy. We'll deal with that just now. So let's just see. If she starts to nibble or chew on me, often there's a lack of interaction with other horses. Even though you may have your horse in a paddock, I'm going to push her back there, in a paddock with other horse, with maybe one horse, and often they're on their own. So they have a deficiency in interaction sometimes, so they can be quite mouthy. Do any of you have mouthy horses? Yeah. The important thing with that sort of thing is to understand where it's coming from and how to deal with it, because often it's a lack of interaction. So from here down on the nose, that's connection and interaction. From there above is play. So I can drive, often they'll push you, and sometimes the line becomes blurred between the play area and the connection area. So this becomes a play area. So if they lack interaction, if they want it, then I just grab the lips and massage the lips. I massage the lips until she sort of pulls away from me and leaves me alone. As soon as she pulls away, I'll carry on with what I'm doing. Any questions? No questions? Lots of questions.
Is a horse ever too old to start doing this?
No.
No. Okay.
No, never. What you will find though is it's quite hard to get through to them, because they're so entrenched in their way of being.
Yeah.
Especially getting softness. One of the things I'm finding quite a lot of is when people are leading the horses around, they're holding here.
Yeah.
And that puts pressure on the halter all the time, basically. If the horse goes past you, pulling it, the horse learns to pull on top of you, that sort of thing. So I've always got a loose rein, teaching my horse more to follow my feet. What was the question again?
It was about was a horse ever too old to start this
so
work?
We've got Dolly next, who's 21.
Okay.
But she has been worked with Leonie, and Leonie's done some Pirelli and some horsemanship, so she's done some stuff.
Yeah.
But she's still got some issues, so we can have a look at those.
And so with this dropping of the head and the ground tie up, will that potentially help you when you take your horse out?
Yes.
In an environment, and you can just ask them to reset and be relaxed and ground tie, rather than on stalks.
On stalks,
okay.
Especially when you get to the show, for example.
Yeah, exactly.
So the way I look at it is I'm teaching her to find a place of relaxation, because often in a herd environment they get relaxation and safety from each other. So they look to us for that. So, and sometimes it's hard for them to actually find their place of relaxation. So just by teaching you're teaching a couple of things here. One is to release the pressure, which is vital. I do the same if I do put a bit in, that I can just touch the bit and the horse will start to soften and release. But being able to come back and drop, relax, release, do licking and chewing, blinking of the eye, that sort of thing. She's patience is a thing for her. So that's just impatience, and she wants to go and have a look around. And but if she starts to move her feet, and she just shows me that she needs to move her feet, I might send her off and move around, but I always come back to here, relax, release, as little pressure as possible, and learning how to release quickly.
And I know obviously every horse is different, but how sort of long might you expect to see results by this sort of training?
In a couple of hours.
Normally
in the first session, 99% of the time I get the horse relaxing. For a short period of time. But eventually I wanted to stand for at least 15 minutes while I brush, do her hooves and saddle her. And I can do that anyway. A lot of people have sometimes it's practical reasons, have their horse in the stable and they have their horse in the stable and they'll have hay in there, and then they'll saddle them in there, and everything seems fine. But then you get to the show, you tie them up outside, the whole world's erupting around you, the horse is moving. So I want to be able to do this not only in my home training, but when I go out. She's quite inquisitive. So we're going to get her to move her feet in a bit, because she wants to move her feet a little, so we're going to get her to move. But I'm going to keep coming back here to my relaxation point first. Before I start to ask her to do anything, and she may or may not understand what I'm asking. Here come some people with chairs.
Oh, and
So-
with a youngster, how sort of long should you have these groundwork sessions lasting for?
With a young
Yeah.
horse, I think once you've got the learning process in place, because there's a learning process and then there's a practice, 10-15 minutes.
Okay,
Every second day with the young
Okay,
horse that you're
okay.
not actually, but you're basically handling her every day anyway. So I'm always training. If I
Okay.
walk from the paddock to the stable or vice versa, I'm always training.
Okay.
I want the horse to be able to follow my feet. And I stop at the gate, back up from the gate. Maybe go back. See how that back up's working.
She's already doing
Yeah, really going back. So everything is done with as much subtlety as possible. But if I need to energize, then I will. Yeah, and then ground tying. So eventually I can just throw my rope on the ground and walk
Wow.
around her.
Okay.
And then you can see how she's starting to drop her head. And relax. So now I'm going to start to do a little bit with her, but I want you to understand that this is my home base, my reset point. It's also a place you can teach them how about the rope. They can stand on the rope. They learn how to handle the rope around it, because one day it's going to happen. Another important thing is being able to, well, it was quite important when I was growing up, is we had a lot of wire come up in the bush. So being able to touch your horse and get it to release the pressure on its legs too. So if it gets caught on something,
Yeah.
it learns how to release rather than pull on. How many times have you seen a horse get hooked up in wire,
Yeah.
or not necessarily wire here, but even just electric tape? Do you see that? Breathe out there and relax. So that, to me, that's more important than at this stage than getting her to do things or asking her to do things, train her. So the relaxation is really important. I can drop this down from any point and get relaxation. So what happens with her at the moment, she gets down, then she gets curious. So I'm not going to correct her too much, because I'm looking for relaxation more than anything else. But, okay, another little thing, and I'll show you before we get going. A little thing to use for relaxation is just getting them to move their jaw. Just taking your finger, and it's good for a young horse to get used to having stuff in its mouth. And just put your finger on the bottom gum there. Okay. She may not like it to start with. Right. So we've got work to do there, just being able to touch her in the mouth. So when I put the bit in, it's easy for her. See, she had a bit in? No. Not yet. So, but just getting them to relax. So there's 2 points here. Do you see there? So just from that little bit of moving her jaw, she starts to release up, and they release up in this area. Often they get locked up in here. So it's really good exercise. Just get them licking tuned. Also gets a young horse used to it. If you're going to put a wormer in it, or you have to do stuff. Stop it. So she's getting impatient now. Stop it. Okay, so I'm just going to send her around, just give a bit of work to do. So I'm going to send her around me. When I send her around, I use my rope and my hands to simulate almost like being a horse. So this is my head, this is my direction, this is my tail, this is my body, because we're long and the horses are, so we're tall and the horses are long. So I just use that. You can use a training stick or an aid as well. So just getting longer with your body, and we're going to just try and see if we can just get it to walk around. I'm using a longer line today. I normally use a 14 foot. Just in case she starts to get loose, because she's a big horse and she's got a long reach with those back legs. Not that you'll try, but what I'm looking for here is just being able to walk around the nice loose grade, for her to focus on me. You can see she's not focused. I'm always asking myself, does my horse get me? Then she turn and face me if I pick up and push that hind quarter around. So I start to back her off a little bit. She keeps creeping up on me. You notice that? And I see it happens a lot. People standing there talking, and the horse is over there, and then it ends up right on top of you. Keep a sharp eye out and make sure that things are. Yeah, I'm not going to fuss too much because she's interested. So we're going to get back to sending her around in a second. Maybe she wants to have a lie down, which would be amazing, to lie down in front of a crowd. He's showing signs of that. So if she shows that again, I'll let her have a lie down.
Wow.
Obviously, don't want to do that with the saddle, but it shows that they can relax. A horse will never lie down unless it's relaxed. I met a horse the other day that the owner had 14 years. She'd never seen a horse lie down, ever. Never see it lie down. So horses have sleep deprivation too. They need at least 40 to 50 minutes, they say, for deep sleep, so being able to lie down and have REM sleep. And if they're stressed and they're not comfortable, often they won't lie down. And then you've got a cranky horse. And that's because they feel unsafe, whatever the case may be. And largely it's to do with us. Are we a good leader as such? I call it passive leadership. Just are we a good person to be around? Do we understand what we say, what we're doing? Can we also be calm? So, one of the important things is to be able to stay calm when things get crazy. And often when we're sitting on the horse, that's real hard to stay calm and not pick up the reins and go, "Wah!" But that's the opposite of what we want to do. So that's how we get through that stuff, is on the ground. So let's just get through all that stuff just by working on the ground. You can see how she comes in at me with her shoulder a little bit, so I'll work on that. So there's all little things I can work on. One is I want a bit of focus now, so I'm going to ask her to turn and change direction. Just get it to start to walk around me nice and calmly. I'm liking the signs that she's showing me, because I'd rather have her like this than head in the air going nuts. But the thing is that if you notice how I move, how I talk, I'm quite slow. My tone, I think vibration is really important. If you're feeling upset and you've had a hard day at work and you get home and you go and work with your horse, you often find your horse is a pain. But it's largely to do with us, I think. And so I always say to people, try and cut your energy level down half, 50%. Sit in the car for 5 minutes, breathe, let down. Don't go in, never go in angry, never respond with anger. I never punish a horse if he's not doing the right thing. I'll never punish it. But for me, from the last time, this is really awesome. How calm she is. So I'm going to push her buttons a little bit. Oh, hang on a rope there. I'm going to push her buttons a little bit and ask her to do a little bit more. I'm going to ask her to move her shoulder, because you can see she's in my space and she just sometimes doesn't think about me. Jimmy, please can you give me a 14-foot rope?
Your bag?
No, you'll have to give me a new one, I think.
She seems very reluctant to go in the other direction. Is that
That's normal. Yeah, they always have one side that they're better on than the other side. It's like that. So see how she.
There we go.
So see how I try to push that shoulder around that side, and so she'll look after it, because at the moment she doesn't feel that comfortable with me pushing it. And she's also getting a little bit pushy. See that? She's starting to get a little bit pushy with me. Put her ears back at me. Because she's bored, probably, or wants to head out of town. So we'll try this side and see. So what you'll find quite often, just trot a bit, just move her feet a bit.
She's not happy about that.
What you'll find quite often is that I'm looking for my horse to respond rather than react. Blue one. You see how her head's gone up? So she's showing me that when I send her and get her feet moving a little faster, the anxiety picks up a little bit. So, and it's very subtle, and we often miss it. Thank you. I'm going to put a shorter rope on her, because so I'm going to put a shorter rope on, because I'm feeling that although there is some stuff in there, I feel a little safer to be closer to her. So you'll notice that I don't use clips. I never use a clip on my horse. So sometimes you have to be a little energetic with the rope, and if you hit them with that, it hurts. So I try to avoid that. Any more questions, Debbie?
No, I'm just interested.
Sorry, everyone. I'm not doing the
I like questions. I like
Brave
questions.
enough to ask.
I've got one.
But you may have a question about your horse that's not even related. I'm okay with that. Yep.
How do you teach them to back off? Because my horse is very much in this space, and I've tried all this trying to back her off, and she just looks at me as if to say,
What?
Yep.
you know, and then walks forward.
Yes, yes. So she's just dominating your space. So
Yeah.
she's learned how to dominate your space. So I'll show you a couple of things you can do. Depends on the horse and how sensitive they are. But often just moving your feet really quickly, like I just
No,
step in
she
here,
takes
you-
no notice.
yep. So there's,
But how old is she?
She's
okay.
21.
She's 21 as well, so.
Okay. So the important thing with anything really, and especially with backing,
She would take no notice of that. She would just look at me and just
okay,
stand
so
still.
maybe a flag might help.
Yeah. I've
Flag
used
might-
that. She takes no notice of that as
Is
well.
it? Okay. Yeah, maybe you need my help.
Yeah. I have been thinking about that.
But you know, there we'll walk to centre around a little bit. We had a little bit of a trot. I'm trying to keep pushing her back here. So I'm just making a fuss about it. But ideally, I want to be able to back my horse just with my finger if I
Oh,
can.
wow, that'd be amazing.
And we'll work on that in a second to see what we can get from her. See her focus away from me.
Yeah.
So I might step in here. You just bring your focus back. I need to work on her hind quarter a bit. Whoop. Bring her out. I'm going to send her around here. Whoop. So see, there's that. Just going to move those feet a little bit. I'm going to start to work on that hind quarter a little. Good girl. Yep. Yep. So the other thing is that they often can have a lot of energy because they get quite a lot of food. And in the wild, the horse would do 40, 50 kilometers a day, but in our environment, they're lucky if they do 5 kilometers a day. So there's always extra energy, and also horses store up a high protein that releases when the horse goes into fear and starts running. It's a high protein that can sustain them for 5 to 10 miles, I think, kilometers. Until they get away from their prey, and then they go into a lope, for example, so they'll keep going if they want to. But for that burst, they store their energy up in there. And what I found I worked with race horses, and by the time I got to the track, they'd burn up 40% of their energy. And so a good racehorse at home doesn't mean it's a good racehorse on the track because they get so stressed out. So I worked with quite a few racehorses doing exactly what we're doing here, largely to do with relaxation. Some of the people at the track they couldn't believe that the horses were so calm. But the important thing was they won their races. So what I'm trying to say is if you're competing, you want to preserve that energy for that. You don't want it or to bomb out on you, or you've got to lunge it out of them. You want to learn how to use it. Okay, so you're just going to keep pushing me on the shoulder a bit. So I'm just going to start to be a little bit more assertive. But she might kick out at me too, because she had a few moments like that where she starts to feel that she can dominate me. I might use my flag a little just to get a little bit more out of her, but I can move that shoulder. It's important that I can move that shoulder. Generally I don't really touch the horse, but if it comes into my space, so you see everything's done at pace at the moment. There's no real calmness to it. So I want to eventually be able to do that, and she's just calmly going to walk around me, trot around me. I can start to do my first pattern, which is a figure 8 pattern on the ground. So I teach them that, teaching them how to come off the foot. There's that horse I was talking about.
I don't think she likes people asking her to actually.
No, don't do that. Sorry. So
Ready to vacate.
there, you notice I didn't start pulling on or anything, which I'll just let her go. That's fine. As long as I'm grounded, as long as I'm calm, the world can erupt. As long as she knows that I'm here for her, and she'll come back. She'll come back to me.
She didn't even pull the rope tight.
No. And often to start with, they do. They'll pull on it. You want to teach them to soften on it so it's nice and loose, and they can just walk around you, trot around you, and then canter around you. And then I can do a figure 8 also, walk and trot. If you horse really skilled, you can do that a canter.
So if she'd pulled the rope tight, what would you have done?
If she had pulled it tight, she probably would have spun around and turned and faced me.
Oh, but you would have kept your ground still.
Yeah, so for example, like I'm teaching her here, if I send her around and she walks away from me, I'll just let her go until she hits the end of the rope here. Often I'll put a knot in the rope there. And she's going, oh, I'm heading out, so goodbye. I'm just going to hold here until you hit the end of the rope. Boom.
Oh,
So especially with a young horse that you're training, it teaches them to come off that pressure. They've got to try 3, 4, 5, 10 times. Eventually I go, that's not working for me. What often happens, and I had this yesterday, was the horse is getting away from the person, so just warm and rushing and running away. And that's a hard one, but basically you've got to teach them that to come off that pressure. So it's a nice soft interaction, you're not pulling. And often with lunging we end up pulling, because you're sort of pushing, you're moving your feet. You'll see my feet don't move much at the moment, because the more I move my feet, the more she's going to take off. So I keep my feet nice and calm. Use my tail here to motivate if I need to. Yeah, so you see that nice little step back there. Another important thing is to reward. So every time you get what you want, even if it's just a tiny bit, just to release, relax. These days I give the horse more time to think about things. So I just let go there, because if I'd held on, that would have got worse.
Yeah. No, it's. So you just don't go, that was a problem, you just ignore it and get up. Yeah.
Sorry?
Because she doesn't wind the rope round, does it?
Yeah. So that's a testament. Important things to remember. So there's that dominance thing.
And the eye.
The last couple of times he had her out here, she was doing that most of the time.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a real difference.
So
then
that
to
behaviour there is dominance.
Yeah.
It's just telling me, hey, you can't make me do this.
Yeah.
And I'll go, oh, we'll see.
Yeah.
But the most important thing, I'm not going to punish her for it.
Yeah.
Do you want the long rope bag?
Can I ask how much groundwork she's had?
Very little.
Sorry?
Okay, you were Anna.
Yeah.
She was just asking how much
How
groundwork.
much, yeah.
Yeah, very little.
Yeah, I mean,
Very
she's
little,
had
yeah.
two
She hasn't had a lot.
sessions with
Wayne,
so
and that's
sort of
it.
like, you know, maybe 2 hours plus just bits on the yard, outside the stable,
Right.
a few times in the school. That's
So
it.
it's going to be a little bit more focused about what I'm doing now. Just I'll need to work on that hind quarter. Get that hind quarter moving. So move the feet. I'll start to get the mind, because I want the mind. At the moment I don't have that. But to get that I need to be able to move those feet any direction, any time I choose. That's horsemanship.
Quite often, Wayne, when she stops and turns to look into you, it's very difficult to know whether that's her choice or whether you've just given her a very subtle cue that she's responding to. Is it her choosing at the moment to stop and
I'm
turn
asking
in?
her to.
Oh, and she's responding to that.
So, yeah, so I'm just sending her around. Whoops. So at the moment she's reacting rather than responding to me. But having said that, we've worked on this a little bit, so she can pick up my cue here. It's my cue.
So she has actually learnt that quite well.
Very well, very nice. It's all about managing the space between you. How do you manage that space, whether you're close or further away, and how you use your body and your body language. For example, standing here, I see a lot of people when I ask them to, for example, from this position move in, they go like this. And they move towards the horse. Common mistake. Just ground tie your horse, nice and loose, hands down, and then walk in. No guarantee she'll stand still, but I've got more chance if I walk in like this. Than I have if I pick up that rope and move too much. So often we're you know, especially if you're a creative kind of busy person, your hands moving, all that sort of thing, that can just completely confuse the horse. So consistency is paramount. So every time I ask it, for example, to move around me, I show my direction, intention, and a little bit of motivation. Just push with that. If I need something longer, I'll use it. Try the hind quarter here again. So you'll come and go. Oop. So you see, I'll say to her, move your hindquarters. She's going, whatever. So it's okay. I don't mind that. What I'm interested in is, can I get it to release and relax after every time I do something like that? Whoop. She set herself off there. Don't go there. Don't go there. No. That's David. Come here. So at the moment it's all or nothing.
Yeah.
So she started off quite calm, but as soon as so I'm going to just push her. Do a bit push. I'm going to push her hind foot around a bit. There I had to put a bit of pressure on the rein because she's not softening. I want to soften. I want to step in there and just push her hind quarter a bit.
It looks like she's getting annoyed or fed up rather than actually worried as such.
Impatient.
Yeah.
Largely. Patient. Also she's learning, so I have to be patient with her because she might go, I don't know what that means, or normally overreact.
Yeah.
And then so my goal is to get her to respond gently to that. So it's really important that every time you do something it looks the same. Because the horse can see the difference between that and that, the horse can see that. But she is quite unpredictable. Let her run that out. So there she's just learning to run into the pressure and release. Go there. Go there. It's important that I release quickly. Just step off this way again, see what happens. Whoop. Okay, I'm trying to get my flag a little bit, which will probably pick my energy level up, but I need a little bit more respect from her, but largely more focus. I need more focus from her. Just over here, darling. There's different things you can use for training. The lunging whip. The lunging whip normally is a little long, so I use either, they call it a carrot stick, it's about 1.2 meters long, with a tail on the end, or I use my flag here. The flag is largely to desensitize. So anything that I show the horse, I always try and get it low. Whatever it might be, get it nice and low. Just encourage it. Always drop that head down, relax, release. So I can use it to desensitize, but I can also use it to get a little bit more focus. So I don't want it to be afraid of it. I want it to be okay with it. But also I'd like to respect it if I use it. But my goal always is to little is more. So at least if I can just use my finger and say turn or go back, that's my goal. But sometimes I use little training tools just to help get focus. So this might send you off a bit. Let's see. So first of all, just getting her to follow it. Just get her attention. 99% of the time when I do this, the horse will focus on it. So it just gives me a little bit of focus. Also it gives the horse a sense and the opportunity to be okay with it. If I went straight at it with it, if I picked it up and went, here you go, you know what would happen. You're gone. And most horses would, especially if they don't know it or they haven't experienced it. But just a good way just to get some focus. Just get it feeling like it's not stretching. So that would be happening whether I had the flag or not. So it's not about the flag here. Just there's a lot of energy So he's going to send her off a little bit to see. So see how she pulled against me, and then she pulls, and I release. So let's just try a little bit with our flag here, just see if we can get it to come around. Yeah. I always end up there with it. So what I wanted to do is look at me, focus on me. If I move around you, you move with me. I move there. Forward a little bit. She's not afraid of the flag. Have you done some work with her with that?
No.
No? So she's not really afraid of it. But also, I want to be careful how I use it. So it helps me, but it doesn't. I'm not going to scare the hell out of her. But I want to be able to move this. Yeah. See how she comes at me with her shoulder, so you send her around here nice and close. Come on. Just not working on that high water. So I'm just working on respecting me, understanding what I'm asking. So every time I move that hind quarter around, so you see a little tiny step there, but not much energy. And then relaxation. Yeah. So you can also, if you feel safe, so I want that focus back here.
Yeah.
You can also just sit, kneel down, or give that horse, give it a chance just to see that you're relaxed. I can relax. Or it may even scare them. You might do the oh my God. Yeah. But you can see how she's picking up on the environment. So there's a car there that went over a pothole. I heard it. That's how keen I am on my environment. They're way better than me. But if you want to work with a horse, be aware of your environment, be aware of your horse, be aware of yourself, especially yourself, how you're presenting, how your energy is. Yeah. There's a bit of a lick and a chew, so that's good news. Any questions while I'm standing here? I can tell you something. Someone said to me the other day, and this is not new information, but they said, what is horsemanship? And I think it might have been Pat Pirelli that said the art of doing nothing. So when you're in a place where things are happening and you want them, you shouldn't be doing anything. You shouldn't be pulling your rein, you shouldn't be kicking. You're in that place where you're doing nothing basically, and the horse is right in the middle in that spot, that sweet spot. So that's good. I won't spend too much time with this, but if it was my horse and I was working, I'd spend as much time as I need making sure that the horse can think through it. You'll often find after a session like this, they'll go and lie down, have a big sleep, they'll start yawning. So the release of endorphins, a release of any anxiety. Okay, so but you notice when I send her off, she's a rocket.
Yeah.
She's a rocket. So over time, I won't get her there today probably, but over time I'll get her just nice and calm, roundy. I like to alter my circle. I don't do a lot of circle work, but I want to be able to do it. And I want my horse to be able to bend and flex, build top line muscle. And I'll show you, we'll see if we can do a little bit of that in a minute, just with some flexing and just building top line muscle without using gadgets.
So until you were happy with all your groundwork, with all of that, would you not back her? No, not even. No.
Not a chance. I wouldn't even get on my horse unless I've done all my training program. So there was good. I didn't count there, but often I'll just take a note of how long we were still for. And there, I don't know, a couple of minutes, maybe 2 minutes, maybe. But eventually, I can get at least 10 minutes out of that because I want to be able to brush it. That sort of thing to me is not so much about she's nibbling on my rope, it's about she's relaxing. So So that's important. Okay, so let's just try that again. Take my knots out here. So there I asked her and she just ignored me. So just a little bit of pressure. So it's all about as little as possible, but sometimes I have to put, I call it energy. It's just my energy. I have to, because if a horse, for example, if there's a horse standing here and I want her grass, if I start working towards her and she's more dominant than me, she'll put her ears back, she might put her teeth out, she might swish her tail, she might turn and try and kick me. So all those signs, and it's important to be able to read them. How your horse is feeling. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's better. So there's a nice little walk. I'm going to put my flag over here, just on the shoulder, and just get her, see how she's looking at me a little? There we go. Okay. Just put that here, just focus for a while, she's going around. We'll try a nice turn here and see, just my hand, I won't even use my flag.
Oh wow.
Okay. So that's not 100% because I'd like it to face me. So unlike lunging, where you stop them on the circle, you can do that too. And then go and change around and then send them the other way. I can send her left and right just from here, just from in front. I want to be able to, I want her to look at me, yep, turn, every now and again. Every now and again she just ignores me, so I just give her a little G up. Come on, let's focus here, let's go this way. So you see how I intentionally move my body? So your intention, same when you ride, you know, you ride through your hips. The horse can feel your intention. Yeah. So let's try to turn here, stop my feet, point. A little step forward there, you see that? Oh, there's another one. So it's still happening, very subtle. But I got to keep an eye on that because I don't want to push him out. And what a lot of people do is when you're in this position, the horse steps towards you and you do that. You only have to do that. See there? So straight into my space.
Yeah.
So that's a big mistake that a lot of people make is we're not aware of what we're doing, and we're often asking the horse to do, you know, we're showing the horse what it should be doing, but we're not thinking about what it is. In the rope again, darling. Good, so it's going to come back here. So this forward thing in my space just keeps happening, but that's okay. I'll just keep pushing it back, get it out my space, just to relax. Let's see if she'll relax here with me. Eventually you won't have to get that head down, it'll just start to drop itself. As you've seen, she can drop it on her own. Okay, so let's see if we can start to get a bit more happening a little further away from me. So, so one of the ways you can get if you're sending the horse around you to get to slow down is just look at the ground. Just by looking down, you can slow things down. Just your body language, slow your body language down. Good girl. No. And then sometimes she can be a little stubborn about things, and then she'll do it beautifully and soft. And then she'll go, no.
Is that just because she's young?
Yeah, she's learning. Focus is the biggest thing. So the focus, more I get focused, the stronger the connection gets. And then it's always looking for me.
Would you say that you have to pick your weather right? You know, with the wind, a howling gale, they could potentially turn to death content.
Definitely to start with. Because the horse is naturally nervous in a windy environment. That's normal. You see a herd of zebras, for example, in the bush, and the wind picks up, they get very nervous because they can't see properly, they can't hear or smell. The wind might be blowing this way, they can't smell if there's something coming that way. So they get real nervous, they get hyper vigilant. So it's normal. Ideally, you want to be able to cope with that. You know, I say to people, if you want to, you can jump your horse through fire. That's how much it trusts you. You've done the preparation, obviously. But you know, just the groundwork, connection, the relationship is important first. That the horse got a good relationship with me, likes being around me, can relax, and then I can start training and learning. Any other questions? say she's relaxed. But I might send her around now and she might have a, yeah.
You think she might?
That's okay.
You think she would?
Yeah, she might be better now. Because I keep saying to her, it's okay.
She's so cheeky, isn't she?
Hang up on me.
What's the time, Mr. Wolf, isn't it?
Oh.
The sweetie. So she now knows that I can also be calm, relaxed, focused. I need to be careful because she gets a bite and takes off and kicks out at me. You know, I could be in trouble. So I'm trusting her though. And that's the big thing, is being able to trust in the process, trust that it's going to be okay. But often we get stressed and we're holding on. You know, oh my God, it's going nuts. So I'll just try a little bit, see if we can get a nice calm walk out of her. I'll put my flag away. So I like a collapsible flag so I can put it away. Don't get tempted to overuse, especially a flag, because they can become oversensitized and you can have other problems if you do too much. Good girl.
Wayne, how do you suggest overcoming the dominance with the shoulder? Because her mother had it as well. It's almost like she's passed on the gene, and they use that. She will come in on a circle, I find. So, you know, what I know, raise your energy, and you know, you go as far as sort of touching her shoulder with the rope from a distance. So is it just a continuation of that every time she comes in? Just because I find that if I ask her to go out, that's when you get the kind of the challenge from her.
Move that shoulder, definitely, and she'll overreact, and you notice when she goes around me, sometimes she'll just charge at me with her shoulder. So not good, because as she comes past me, good, give me one, hey. But also it's a respect thing, and so there's several different ways to deal with it. Firstly, I'll just try now, just send her around here, and then just pick up my hand and push. She didn't move much, but she did move a little. So I'll try that again. So I'll step up here, and this time I'll step in a little harder.
Yeah.
Okay.
Push that away.
You do get the response, don't you?
Yes. But because also she's not that focused, she starts to drift in this way. She's looking out, drifting in.
Yeah.
I want it to bend, so some of the work I'll do will start to come in a little closer.
And is it also a physical kind of challenge for her? Like, because you're asking her to bend effectively, it's a little bit of an evasion because it's easier for her to come in, or
mostly it's lack of respect for my space.
okay.
And there's a couple of other little exercises you can do with the shoulder yield. It's not so strong along the side, I'm not sure, but and she's not really there yet, but it's the side pass just along the fence line. So just bring it. Did we do that last time?
No, but I've seen that done.
Yeah, so just coming in here and just getting that shoulder to side pass. We'll try a little and see what we get.
I've seen quite a lot of work in Portugal, even with the young horses, where at this stage in hand, they'll work on a very small circle and get her sort of. You walk into her space and she walks out of your space on a almost like a very steep half pass on a circle.
Absolutely.
And I find they do that sort of from a very early stage, and it does seem to work.
Yep. So here I'm just going to a figure eight. I'm just going to go left and right. I'm going to try and see if I can work on the shoulder. I'm not so sure about the strength of the arena if she does push it. But eventually I just walk towards the shoulder and it moves away from me. I don't have to do a lot. You've got to start somewhere, and like you said, having them in close is really important so they can bend and move around me. Bend here. Use that hind quarter. See there, I want to just move that shoulder out. I want to bend a little. There she's bending because she's stopping by the gate. So it's also a good way to get focused. Must be careful, I don't stop by the gate though. Once you start to get the bend, just picking up your hand and just pushing, come on, pushing that shoulder out. And if I do step in there, that's you see how some horses, if you did that, they'll go back real fast, but she's like Okay. So she's quite bold. Got quite a strong character, you know, she's quite a really dominant character as well. I would say she's very dominant, but those shoulders definitely we need to work on, yeah.
On the same subject, Wayne, I thought, and I might have misunderstood, when you were using the flag earlier, that you were pointing the flag at her shoulder to try and get the shoulder out.
Yes.
Was that the same thing?
Yep, so just a bit of pressure on that shoulder.
Yeah.
If I can get away with just, hey, move out of my space, I'd rather that than just to go, hey, go get out of my space. So sometimes I need to go there, but then I always come back.
Yeah.
Just soft.
Do you know this flag's fallen out? So you're...
Oh, is it? Oh, okay. So let's just come back here and just see if we can get that to drop. You might find sometimes if you pick up the pressure on the rope, the lips will move. Just the nervous system. But we definitely, she needs to bend a little. She's still young, but getting a bit of a bend on her and getting her to look at me. So I'll just work on that a little bit. How much time have we got? Time up. Okay, so I still have to see if she'll follow me. So I want her to look at me. See how she doesn't look at me? I want her to follow and look. So if I look around there, there's that shoulder. And so when she gets worried too, she'll just shoulder you out. So let's just try that. So yeah, I'm going to push on that shoulder a bit. Oops. There you go. High quarter, then I'm going to move that shoulder. So there I was a little tough on that shoulder there, but then I'll be soft again. Try again. Come on. When I'm asking the horse to come to me, I just lower my body language and I try and gesture the horse rather than pull it. If I need to put a bit of pressure, push and release once again. So over time, her focus, she can still look, listen, you know, what's going on around her, but just be relaxed. You don't have to worry. You don't have to take water.
Because you're there?
Because I'm here, I'm relaxed. Oops. Good, okay, I think that's it for Dolly. Do you want to go grab a cup of tea, coffee?
Thank you for watching.